¿Sí se puede, AFT? ¿Sí se puede, AFT? Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Buenas tardes, AFT. I bring greetings from the League of United Latin American Citizens, LULAC, as its youngest and only female CEO in LULAC's nearly 93-year history. And as an immigrant who was brought to the U.S. undocumented, and a proud, lifelong public school alumna, I know firsthand what it is to break barriers and create new paths of opportunities that lead to lasting change. My public school education was my launching pad, and had it not been for the many caring role model educators in my life, including Ms. Lupe Silva Kraus, who served as the parent liaison at T.C. Williams High School, and my professors at Virginia State University, I would not be here before you today. So, I salute AFT for opening doors for both teachers and higher education educators, administrative staff, nurses and health professionals, and all AFT public employees and students to overcome the systemic challenges of the status quo. You are forging a new, more equal and equitable paradigm in America in the field of public learning. I also want to thank Dr. Jill Biden, who is a lifelong educator and ally of LULAC and the Latino community. Can we take a moment to give her a round of applause? Doctora Biden, gracias por ser una gran amiga de nuestra comunidad. It is my sincere honor and privilege to share this moment with such a distinguished group that together forms the backbone, indeed the brain trust, that first opens, then uplifts and empowers the learning curiosity and academic potential of millions of children across the United States and Puerto Rico. You see, AFT and LULAC share many of the same values about learning. Our Constitution, our LULAC Constitution, commands that as members and that as an organization, we're ever to be ever vigilant and always be the sentinels that cry out and issue the warning when we see barriers that threaten equitable access to public education for Latinos and all young people of color. And to give you a brief historical timeline of LULAC's actions across the arc of our more than 9 decades, allow me to highlight a few milestones of our work. In 1933, LULAC formed a committee in San Antonio, Texas, which led to the formation of La Liga Defensa Pro Escolar, and later known as the School Improvement League, that fought for better schools and more equitable education. In 1945, LULAC successfully sued to integrate the Orange County, California school system. In 1946, LULAC filed the Mendes versus Westminster lawsuit, which ended 100 years of segregation in California's public schools and became a precedent for Brown versus Board of Education. In 1948, LULAC attorney filed a Delgado versus Bastrop Independent School District lawsuit, which ended the segregation of Mexican-American children in Texas. In 1957, LULAC Council 60 in Houston, Texas, piloted the Little School of the 400 project, a preschool program dedicated to teaching 400 basic English words to Spanish-speaking preschool children. President Lyndon Johnson used this model to create Head Start, a program still in existence today. America, you are welcome. And the list goes on. Today, we continue to advance and defend. In fact, we are fighting a real threat to public education that violates the very democratic fabric of our country. And that is a threat made in May by Texas Governor Abbott to revisit the landmark 1982 U.S. Supreme Court decision, Plyler versus Doe, which struck down a Texas law that denied state funding to educate non-citizens. You see, this decision established that all children, regardless of immigration status, have a constitutional right to a free public K-12 education. And after the Supreme Court term we just had, and we all witnessed, I think it is safe to say that anything is possible. Our kids, nuestros hijos, are under threat by our own government. And to politicians like Governor Abbott, we say, put our children first, not your own political ambition. Put our children first. Investing in our students today is a down payment for the future. And for the record, Latinos in America are not going anywhere. In fact, by 2050, nearly 1 in 3 Americans will be of Latino ancestry. As I like to say, aquí estamos y no nos vamos. All across our nation, and the decades since this landmark achievements, LULAC has locked arms with AFT and championing the role of our public schools. Time and again, LULAC volunteer members are the community leaders who have spoken and continue to do so before school district counties and state boards of education. Our LULAC members are the heart of our organization. I mentioned at the outset that I know firsthand what it is to break barriers. You see, my own life is an example of this truth. My story begins in Honduras, where I was born and then was brought to the United States at the tender age of 1. I still tremble and cry when I reflect on my mother's courage and her will to give us a better life, and thank God that she did. You see, my mom taught me that a parent's love cannot be measured, and that she was willing to sacrifice her own nursing career to come to America to clean houses because she wanted her children to succeed. I am grateful for my grandmother, mi abuelita, who taught me that my only definer is my heavenly designer. Let me repeat that, because nothing can shake you if you know that your only definer is your heavenly designer. And no matter what comes your way, what Red Sea you have to cross, or what valley you have to walk, remember, you were beautifully and wonderfully made with purpose for such a time as this. As I reflect on my life, I think of my mom's strength, her valor, her unshakable faith in the promise of America that allowed me to be enrolled in the greatest public education system in the world, one that welcomes all of our children. And yet we know many children feel like they don't belong. This is why LULAC is working hard to ensure that content is created for us and by us. As I like to say, nothing about us without us. Nada de nosotros sin nosotros. I also wanted to talk about our dreamers. Did you know that more than 30 states still charge undocumented out-of-state tuition fees, even if the student is a longtime resident of the state? Most states restrict financial aid to citizen and permanent residents. There are nearly 100,000 undocumented students who graduate from U.S. high schools each year, and yet Congress still fails to pass the Federal Dream Act. The House has done its job thanks to Congresswoman Lucille Roy Bayarler from California. The Senate must do its job and pass the bill. And can we talk about college student debt for a minute? LULAC joined more than 125 organizations calling on President Biden to fix the broken student loan system and deliver promised student debt relief. We are still waiting. It is unconscionable that the wealthiest nation does not do more for the very people who will invigorate the workplace and move the country to higher achievements. Our investment in our people today is a down payment for our future. I am forever grateful to educators and staff just like you who were shaping the mind and very soul of a young woman who would one day become leader of the country's oldest and largest civil rights organization for our 60 million plus Latinos. I'm also very grateful to AFT, to President Randy Weingarten, a friend and ally of LULAC, and to Executive Vice President Evelyn De Jesus, in all of her work with LULAC over the years, including our recent collaboration together in citizenship clinics in Florida, and AFT's 10,000 book donation to kids in San Juan, Puerto Rico, as part of AFT's Reading Opens the World Literacy campaign. I would also like to thank Frederick Ingram for his stewardship and acknowledge Cesar Moreno Perez for staying rooted in developing leaders around you. Lastly, Adriana, thank you for all that you do every single day. You are a mighty force. At a time when mental health is a crisis in our country, and there are so many battles in every single direction we turn, you, our society's educators and leaders, are a testament to the strength and determination to ensure that the promise of America is for everyone. And I thank you, because as we walk through the valley, we must reclaim our future with every word, every action, and every vote. Representation matters. Your vote matters. Who we elect matters. Running for office matters. Public schools matters. And defending our democracy matters. LULAC says to each of you, every educator and leader member across our nation in Puerto Rico, gracias, thank you, we value you, we're grateful to you, and we stand with you. Estamos con ustedes. Every day you risk your life to educate our daughters and sons and non-binary children, whether it was the coronavirus or because of the gun violence epidemic. And let me be clear, LULAC does not believe that the way to make schools safe is by arming teachers. More guns in school is not the solution to the active shooting epidemic in this country. Like so many of you, my heart still aches for the senseless gun violence across our nation, including the recent massacre at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde. As I conclude, may we one day soon look back and see, as my mother and my abuelita saw, the long, dusty, and dangerous road that led us to the beginning of a better future, brighter and more promising, and filled with the hope that in this country, public education is not a privilege of a few. It is the right of all, each and every child, for somewhere among them were we. Thank you, every single one of you, for your sacrifice, your love, your compassion, and your faith to serve without knowing that the seed you plant in the mind of students are yielding a great harvest. It is called America. It is called freedom. It is called our school. It is called our community. It is called us. Muchísimas gracias, and may God bless. Que Dios los bendiga.